In today's Tales of a Mendicant Preacher, I wanted to share something from Emanuel Swedenborg, 16th century mystic. Interestingly enough, who traveled to other planets. And this happens to be just one of his selections on one of those journeys. It's called The Earths in the Starry Heaven. So, in his time, he may not have been as much aware of, going much further beyond our solar system, much less our Milky Way galaxy or into other galaxies or into other universes. And so in his writings, he speaks primarily of our solar system, but this is what he says about the Earths in the starry heaven, which I think, and this is just one of many, many experiences he had about this subject matter. And of course, this is Emanuel Swedenborg, who had thousands and thousands of mystical experiences of heaven and hell and the apocalypse being revealed. He also did the Arcana Celestia, which was, multiple volume work. I mean, Emanuel Swedenborg is one of the most prolific mystics. So this is a short excerpt from Emanuel Swedenborg, but just a little bit to let you hear about his travels to other planets, the heavens. They who are in heaven can speak and converse with angels and spirits who are not only from the earths in this solar system, but also with those who are from other earths in the universe out of this system. Think about how cool that is for a guy in the 16th century to comprehend that. Not only with the spirits and angels there, but also with the inhabitants themselves, but only with those whose interiors are open, so that they can hear such as speak from heaven. The same is the case with man during his abode in the world, to whom it has been granted by the Lord to speak with spirits and angels. For man is a spirit as to his interiors, the body which he carries about in the world, only serving him for performing functions in this natural or terrestrial sphere, which is the ultimate. But it is granted to no one to speak as a spirit with angels and spirits, unless he be such that he can consociate with angels as to faith and love. Nor can he so consociate unless he have faith and love to the Lord. For man is joined to the Lord by faith and love to him, that is, by truths of doctrine and goods of life from him. And when he is conjoined to the Lord, he is secure from the assaults of evil spirits from hell. With others, the interiors cannot be so far opened, since they are not in the Lord. This is the reason why there are few at this day to whom it is granted to speak and converse with angels. A manifest proof whereof is that the existence of spirits and angels is scarcely believed at this day, much less that they are with every man, and that by them man has connection with heaven and through heaven and with the Lord. Still less it is believed that man, when he dies, as to the body, lives as a spirit, even in a human form as before. Because at this day, with many in the church, there is no belief in the life after death, and scarce any belief in heaven, nor in the Lord as the God of heaven and earth. Therefore, the interiors which are of my spirit have been opened by the Lord, so that while still in the body, I can at the same time be with angels in heaven, and not only speak with them, but also see the stupendous things there and describe them, so that it may not chance to be said hereafter, who has come to us from heaven and told us that there is such a place and what there is there. But I know that they who in heart have before denied heaven and hell and the life after death will still confirm themselves against them and deny them. For it is easier to make a crow white than to make those believe who have once rejected faith in the heart. The reason is that they always think of such things from the negative and not from the affirmative. Nevertheless, let what has been said thereto, and what is still further to be said concerning angels and spirits, be for the few who are in faith, and that the rest also may be led along to something of acknowledgement, it has been conceded to relate such things as delight and attract the man who is desirous of knowing, and now about the earths in the starry heaven. He who does not know the arcana of heaven cannot believe that a man can see earths so distant and relate anything about them from the experiences of the senses. But let him know that the spaces and distances, and thence the progressions in the natural world, are in their origin and first cause changes of the state of the interiors, and with angels and spirits appear according to these changes, and that thus they can, by these changes, be apparently transferred from one place to another, and from one earth to another, even to the earths which are at the end of the universe. So also may a man be transferred as to his spirit, his body still remaining in its place. Thus it has been done with me, since by the divine mercy of the Lord it has been given me to have communication with spirits as a spirit, and at the same time with men as a man, that a man can be so transferred as to his spirit, the sensual man cannot understand, since he is in space and time and measures his movements according to them. That there are many worlds may be evident to everyone, from there being so many constellations visible in the universe. And it is known in the learned world that every fixed star is like a sun in its place, for it remains fixed like the sun of our earth in its place, and that the distance makes it appear small in form like a star. Consequently, that, like the sun of our world, it has round it planets, which are earths. And the reason that these do not appear to our eyes is their being at such an immense distance and having only the light of their star, which cannot be reflected again as far as here. For what other purpose is there so great a heaven with so many stars? For the end of the creation of the universe is man, that from man there may be an angelic heaven. What would the human race, and thence an angelic heaven from one earth, be for the infinite Creator, for whom 1,000 earths, nay, tens of thousands, would not be enough? By calculation it appears that if there were 1,000,000 earths in the universe, and men on every earth to the number of 300 millions, and 200 generations in 6,000 years, and if to each man or spirit were given the space of 3 cubic ells, the whole number of so many men or spirits collected into one body would still not fill the space of the 1,000th part of this earth, thus perhaps not more than the space of a single satellite around the planet Jupiter or Saturn, which would be a space scarce discernible in the universe, for a satellite is hardly visible to the naked eye. What is this to the Creator of the universe, to whom there would not be enough if the whole universe should be filled? For he is infinite. On these matters I have spoken with angels, who said that they have a similar idea of the fewness of the human race in comparison with the infinity of the Creator, although they do not think from spaces but from states, and that according to their idea, earths, to the number of as many myriads as could be conceived by thought, would still be as nothing at all to the Lord. But in what now follows, the earths in the starry heavens shall be described from experience itself, from which it will also be evident how I was transferred thither as to my spirit, my body remaining in its place. A first earth in the starry heaven, its spirits and inhabitants, from things heard and seen. I was led by the Lord by means of angels to a certain earth in the starry heaven, where it was given to me to look into the earth itself, yet not to speak with the inhabitants there, but with the spirits who were from it. All the inhabitants are men of every earth after the life in the world is finished, become spirits, and remain near their own earth. From these spirits, however, information is given about their earth and about the state of the inhabitants there. For men who leave the body bring with them all of their former life and all their memory. To be led to earths in the universe is not to be led and transferred thither as to the body, but as to the spirit, and the spirit is led by variations of the state of the interior life, which appear to it as progressions through space. Approaches also are made according to agreements or similarities of states of life, for agreement or similarity of life conjoins, disagreement and dissimilarity disjoin. From this may be evident how transference is made as to the spirit, an approach to what is distant, the man still remaining in his place, but to lead the spirit beyond its own world by variations of the state of its interiors, and to make the variations advance successively even to a state agreeing with or similar to that of those to whom it is led, is in the power of the Lord alone. For there must be continual direction and foresight from first to last in going and returning, especially with a man who is still in the world of nature as to the body and thereby in space. That this has been done, those who are in the bodily senses and think from them cannot be induced to believe, for the reason that what is of bodily sense cannot comprehend progressions without space. But still, they who think from the sense of their spirit, somewhat removed or withdrawn from the sense of the body, thus interiorly in themselves, may be led to believe and to comprehend, since in the idea of the interior thought there is not space nor time, but instead thereof those things from which space and times exist. It is for such persons that what follows concerning the earth's in the starry heaven is related, and not for others, unless they will suffer themselves to be instructed. In a state of wakefulness, I was led as to the spirit by the Lord by means of angels to a certain earth in the universe, accompanied by some spirits from this world. Our progress was made toward the right and lasted 2 hours. Our progress near the limit of our solar system, there appeared at first a shining bright cloud, but dense, and beyond it a fiery smoke ascending out of a great chasm. It was a vast gulf separating our solar world on that side from some worlds of the starry heavens. That fiery smoke appeared at a considerable distance. Okay, hang on here, boys and girls. Got that light on there. All right, there we go. We're going to be doing better now. I was borne across the middle of it, and then there appeared beneath, in that chasm or gulf, very many men who were spirits. For spirits all appear in the human form and actually are men. I also heard them speaking. This is from Miscellaneous Theological Works of Emanuel Swedenborg, by the way. But whence they were in their quality was not given me to know. Excuse me. Yet one of them said to me that they were guards, lest spirits should pass from this world into another in the universe without leave having been given. That it was so was also confirmed for some spirits who were in our company, but had not received the ability to pass over, when they came to that great interspace, began to cry out vehemently that they were perishing, for they were like those who are struggling in agony with death, and therefore they stopped on that side of the gulf, nor could they be taken any further, as the fiery smoke that exhaled from the gulf enveloped them and thus tortured them. Afterwards, I was carried along through that great chasm, and at length I arrived at a place where I stopped, and there then appeared to me spirits overhead with whom it was given me to speak. From their speech and from their genius of apprehending and explaining things, I clearly perceived that they were from another earth, for they were quite different from the spirits of our solar system. They also perceived from my speech that I was from afar. After we had spoken for some time on various matters, I asked what God they worshipped. They said they worshipped an angel who appears to them as a divine man shining with light, and that he instructs them and gives them to perceive what they ought to do. They said further that they know that the Most High God is in the Son of the angelic heaven, and that he appears to their angel and not to themselves, and that he is too great for them to dare to adore him. The angel whom they worshipped was an angelic society to which it was given by the Lord to preside over them and to teach the way of what is just and right. They therefore have light from a certain flame, which appears like a small torch, quite fiery and yellow. The reason is that they do not adore the Lord, and thus they do not have light from the sun of the angelic heaven, but from an angelic society. For an angelic society, when it is given by the Lord, can present such light to the spirits who are in a lower region. That angelic society was also seen by me high above them, and there was also seen there the flaming appearance from which their light came. Very interesting, huh? This is very unique. And again, this is just one world, one of the earths, because he has, an entire slew of earths that he sees. But we're just going to go through this one. And so you see all these different manifestations of creation and how it happens through the universe. And in this particular case, as seen by Emanuel Swedenborg. As to the rest, they were modest and somewhat simple, but yet they thought very well. From the light with them, it might be concluded what their intellectual faculty is, for the understanding is according to the reception of the light which is in the heavens. Since the divine truth proceeding from the Lord as a sun is what shines there and enables the angels not only to see, but also to understand. I was instructed that the inhabitants and spirits of that earth have reference in the greatest man to something in the spleen, of which I was confirmed by an influx into the spleen when they were speaking with me. They were asked about the sun of their system, which illumines their earth. They said that the sun there appears flamy, and when I represented the size of the sun of our earth, they said that theirs is smaller, for their sun to our eyes is a star. And I was told by angels that it is among the smaller stars. They also said that the starry heaven is likewise seen from their earth, and that a star larger than the rest appears to them towards the west. I was told from heaven that this is our sun. Presently my sight was opened so that I could look somewhat into that earth itself. And there appeared many meadows and woods with leafy trees and also woolly sheep. I afterwards saw some of the inhabitants who were of the lower class, clothed in a dress much like that of peasants in Europe. There was also seen a man with his woman. She appeared of handsome figure and graceful carriage, and the man likewise. But what I wondered at, he had a pompous gait with a rather haughty step, while the woman, on the contrary, walked with a humble step. It was said by the angels that such is the custom on that earth. The men who are such are loved because nevertheless they are good. I was further told that it is not permitted them to have many wives because it is contrary to their laws. The woman whom I saw had before her breast a broad garment with which she could screen herself, while it was so made that she could insert her arms and wrap it about herself and so walk away. The lower part of it could be drawn up, and when drawn up and applied to the body, it appeared like an upper garment covering the chest, such as is worn by the women of our earth. But the same garment served also for the man, who is seen to take it from the woman and apply it to his back, loosening the lower part, which then flowed down to his feet like a toga, and then clothed he walked about. What I saw in that earth was not seen with the eyes of my body, but with the eyes of my spirit. And the spirit can see the things that are on an earth when it is granted by the Lord. Since I know that it will be doubted whether it is in any way possible for a man to see with the eyes of his spirit anything on an earth so distant, it is allowed me to say how this thing is. Distances in the other life are not like distances on earth. In the other life, distances are altogether according to the states of the interiors of anyone. Those who are in a like state are together in one society and in one place. Everything is present there according to similarity of state, and everything is distant according to dissimilarity of state. Hence it was that I was near that earth when I was led by the Lord, into a state similar to that of its spirit and inhabitants. And that being then present, I spoke with them. From this, it is plain that the earths in the spiritual world are not distant in the same way as in the natural world, but only apparently, according to the states of life of the inhabitants and spirits there. The state of life is the state of affections as to love and faith. In regard to a spirit being able to see the things which are on an earth, or what is the same, a man as to his spirit, it is allowed me to explain how this also is. Neither spirits nor angels can, by their own sight, see anything that is in the world, for through them the light of the world or of the sun is as dense, thick darkness, just as man, by his bodily sight, cannot see anything that is in the other life. For to him the light of heaven is as dense, thick darkness. But still, spirits and angels, when it is the Lord's good pleasure, can see the things that are in the world through the eyes of man. But this the Lord does not grant to any others than those whom he gives to speak with spirits and angels and to be together with them. Through my eyes it has been given them to see the things which are in the world, and as plainly as I did, and also to hear men speaking with me. It has sometimes happened that some through me have seen their friends whom they had in the life of the body, just as present as before, and they were astounded. They have also seen their husbands or wives and their children, and wished to tell them that they were present and saw them, and also wanted me to tell them about their state in the other life. But I was prohibited from telling them and revealing to them that they were thus seen, even for the reason that they would have called me insane, or would have thought it was delirium of mind. For it was known to me that although they acknowledged with the lips, still they did not believe in the heart, that there were spirits, and that the dead had risen and were among them, and that these could see and hear through a man. When my interior sight was first opened, and those who were in the other life saw through my eyes the world and the things that were in it, they were so astonished that they called this the miracle of miracles, and were affected with a new joy, that thus there was granted a communication of earth with heaven and of heaven with earth. This joy lasted for months, but afterwards it became familiar. Now they have ceased to wonder. I have been instructed that the spirits and angels with other men see nothing at all of what is in the world, but only perceive the thoughts and affections of those with whom they are. From this it may be evident that man was so created, that while living in the world among men, he might at the same time also live in heaven among angels, and the converse, that with heaven and the world with a man might be together, and act as one, and that men might know what is in heaven, and angels what is in the world, and when men die, they might thus pass out of the Lord's kingdom on earth into the Lord's kingdom in heaven, not as into a different kingdom, but as into the same in which they also were when they lived in the body. But because man has become so corporeal, he has closed heaven to himself. Lastly, I spoke with the spirits who were from that earth about various things on our earth, especially about there being sciences here which are not elsewhere, as astronomy, geometry, mechanics, physics, chemistry, medicine, optics, philosophy, and also arts, which are not known elsewhere, as those of shipbuilding, casting metals, of writing upon paper, and of printing what is written by types, and so of communicating it to others on the earth, and also of preserving it for posterity for thousands of years, as I told them had been done with the word which is from the Lord, and therefore there is a permanent revelation on our earth. Lastly was shown me the hell of those who are from that earth. Those who were seen from it terrified one most exceedingly, and I dare not describe their monstrous faces. There were also seen their enchantresses who practiced direful arts. These appeared clothed in green, and they struck me with horror. So that's just the first of many of these other earths that Emanuel Swedenborg talks about that he saw in the starry heavens. Thanks for joining me.